is a recent love. I had just recently discovered his movies because I really had never watched any of those movies.
Mark. All right, it is time for another episode of Cash's Top 5. I am joined today by my brother, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for doing the show.
Thank you.
And what list are we doing a top 5 for today?
We're going to do top 5 movie directors.
Okay. Now, that's a tough list because you and I are both movie lovers like crazy. And we have very strong opinions about the movies we like and the directors. So I think I know... Do what?
And the movies we hate.
Yeah, no, that's true. And a lot of the times I don't like what you like and you don't like what I like, but sometimes we meet in the middle.
Sure.
So we're going to do movie directors. There's a lot to choose from. And I have a feeling I'm going to know a few of yours. Obviously, we go back a long ways, but I'm curious to see how it shakes out, who's ranked where. So let's get it started. Movie directors, top 5. Mark, who do you have in the top 5? Who's number 5 on your list?
Number 5? See, that's a hard one. I'm going to go with Quentin Tarantino at 5.
Okay.
I like him a lot. There's some things I don't like about him, though. There's just a lot I do like. I'm not crazy about all of his movies, though. I guess that's a good way to say it. Hateful Eight was not a good one for me.
Hateful Eight you didn't like?
Not really.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I couldn't get into it. You know, I gave it like a good half an hour, 45 minutes. I just could not get there to
it. Which ones are your favorites?
I mean, Pulp Fiction obviously is a really good one. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy the Kill Bills. I know they get a lot of hate, but I really enjoy both of those. What's this latest one you just did again?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah, not crazy about it.
No, not good.
No.
But he does have a lot of good stuff.
Right. I mean, Pulp Fiction, of course, is an amazing film. So,
yeah. I think it would be interesting to do a list of best batting average for a director. Like, who had the best? Like, I think Quentin's probably up there for percentages because there's some directors, they have like one great movie and then they've got a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Others.
He's also limited his amount of movies too, to only a certain amount.
That's true. Yeah, he's not like Rob Reiner or Spielberg, who's got
they've
got 30 movies. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Inglourious Basterds was also one of my favorites. I mean, he does an amazing. He does those pocket movies, almost like movies within the movies, where they're just like little section here, and then it all adds up. I like that.
Yeah. Strong choice. Wow. Number 5 for you, Quentin Tarantino. Number 5 for me. I'm curious to see what you think. I've got Jon Favreau.
I like Favreau.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would have to be told what his movies were that I've seen that I may not know that they were him.
Sure. The thing I like about Favreau is he's done a lot of different stuff. He directed Elf. He directed the Iron Man 1 and 2. He directed the Jungle Book remake. He's got a few others. I don't think he didn't direct Swingers. I think he directed Made, but the 2 early ones with Vince Vaughn. Mm-hmm. A lot of different stuff. He hasn't done a ton of movies. I kind of held that against other directors. They just haven't done enough for me. He's right on the line, but what he's done, I've really loved. And I like the fact that he can kind of do multiple things. Like I said, Elf to Iron Man to indie movies to big blockbuster stuff.
Did he direct Chef or did he just star in it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Duh. And one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah. One of your top movies.
Yeah, Chef.
I thought he directed it. I knew he was a star, of course, but.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he wrote it. I'm sure he worked on the script. He's a writer at heart. But yeah, and he directed Chef. So he's just got.
That was a really well done movie. I mean, just even the cinematography in that, and with the grilled cheese is the most famous scene I think in the whole movie. But just the way they shot making it really was awesome.
Well, and I think it speaks to people who want to work with him. He obviously has the A-listers on the blockbuster, the big summer movies, but he's got Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., Dustin Hoffman appearing in this, John Leguizamo appearing in this kind of smaller indie flick, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Does he also direct the Netflix series that he does, the Chef Show?
I assume he's in charge of all of it.
Yeah,
I don't know if he
it's
directs
right
it, but
up
I'm
the
sure
alley
he's
of all that. So.
yeah, I'm sure he's got final say. I'm sure he's editing it and deciding what they're going to do. And yeah, so Jon Favreau, my number 5. Who do you have at number 4?
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Scorsese. I know you don't even like him, really, do you?
No.
Why not?
I'll tell you why after you tell me why he's your number 4.
Well, there's 3 really good movies I love by him. Goodfellas, of course, which you already knew. It's one of my favorites. The Aviator, which is also great. You don't like that movie? Whatever.
Keep going.
And then The Departed, which I know you hate, is also one I hate.
Ugh, dude.
Those are great movies.
They are fantastic movies if you're trying to fall asleep, but you just can't. And you need some help and you don't want to take any kind of, NyQuil or anything to knock you out. Just put on Aviator or you can't do Wolf of Wall Street because it's so loud. I don't think you could fall asleep to that. But look,
that's also another great one of his movies.
Okay. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I love
that. I don't know. It's his style, I guess. Because they all do resemble each other. Very much so.
I don't know if I don't like them because I try not to factor in outside forces. Obviously we've grown up at a time where Scorsese was already a thing.
Sure, yeah.
So he was already cemented as this Hollywood legend and a master filmmaker. Well, when I've gone to watch all of his movies, I've just been bored out of my mind. Weird to me. You know how many times I've heard Taxi Driver is one of the greatest movies of all time and a great character film and all this stuff? I'm like, this is the most boring piece of crap ever.
I'm not a huge fan of Taxi Driver, honestly. It's the later thing. But even that last one he did for Netflix, the Irishman.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was almost too much. He was trying to, cap on everything that he's already done and just trying to put it all in one pot and just go with everybody. So I just didn't care for it as much.
I wonder if too, I don't have a love for gangster stuff. I'm not against it, but I'm not like the mob and the Irish and the Italians and and clearly he loves New York. I'm not, enamored with any of that stuff. So that's all lost on me. No, I kind of figured he'd make your list, but.
Well, no. Goodfellas is probably my go-to movie. If I can't find anything, I'm just in the mood for it. I don't want to watch anything else. I put on Goodfellas and I can watch that every day for the rest of my life if I had to. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But it's also from when I was a kid watching it. So it's like one of those movies where you grew up with it, so it's just one of your movies.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get that. Okay. So we're still at the number 4 spot. You are Martin Scorsese. My number 4 is probably somewhere higher on your list. I've got Christopher Nolan.
Okay. Number 4? At least he made it. That's what I'll say to you. At least he made it. Because I know you're hard with directors. You're very critical. So not a bad thing. Just, this is what I like.
Yeah, I'm very specific. But again, this is top 5 of all time. So number 4 to me is not super disrespectful. It's all kind of honoring these top 5. But when I make cases for my next 3, I think you'll understand. But no, Nolan, to me, this whole pandemic thing, this is going to sound very selfish, but one of the hardest things to do about the pandemic and dealing with it is not being able to go to the movie theater. That's a big part of my usual routine is going to the movies every week. And to hear that theaters are struggling and hurting and may not reopen, and there's going to be a big shift to streaming online at home, kills me because I love going to the theater specifically. And Christopher Nolan, I will say, is the best theater director of all time. You take a look at Dunkirk, or you take a look at the Dark Knight series, Interstellar, Inception. Just the soundtrack that he usually has with Hans Zimmer, and the score and
it sets a mood. Sound. It's a big mood. His movies are big mood movies for the theater.
Yes. And even the ones that aren't the big blockbustery, you know, kind of the prestige types, the slightly more smaller scale or less grand, I would say. Even those are a big deal.
I was gonna say, Prestige is pretty, I mean, grand when you're, you know, sitting there watching it in theater. It's still
You're exactly.
There's still some big moments,
and which is impressive because in comparison to Bane diving out of a plane at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises or Inception, the city is going right side up. I mean, it's just really impressive.
Going into the black hole in Interstellar or something like that. Yeah, just completely different.
And Nolan is probably up there for best percentage. I can't think of a clunker.
No. What did he start with? Memento?
Memento in 05, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, not on the scale of any of his other movies. Right. But it's still good. I mean, it's, you know, it's his whole time perception thing he does. It's just, I mean, that's his thing. That's his thing. So
I think that's important too. I think when you know you're watching when you're watching a Tarantino or you're watching a Christopher Nolan, you know you're watching a Nolan film.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. So okay, moving along. Number 5 for you, Quentin Tarantino. Number 4, Scorsese. Who you got in the 3 spot?
This one might actually shock you. I think I might have you here. Ridley Scott.
What?
There you go.
All right.
Now, he's done so many different things, though.
True.
And he's done a lot of movies, too. But, yeah, I mean, just Blade Runner, and I know Gladiator, which you may have sat through now.
Gladiator is another one of those. If you can't get to sleep, you just turn it on.
Yeah, that's true.
Knock yourself out.
That's true. Martian. I mean, he's done a lot of great movies. He did that series on HBO this year, Raised by Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you watched that yet. It's fantastic, and it's definitely him. I mean, you can tell it's him. So just the way he does things, I love it. He's got good movie skills.
I'm not gonna lie. I love that. He's got good movie skills. Ridley Scott. Yeah. No, I know. I'm really surprised by that pick because I thought I had other people in mind, but we'll discuss it. Ridley Scott. That actually really surprises me.
Well, because when I go through like his list, I'm like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those batting averages. I've liked the majority of his movies, and I've enjoyed all of them.
That's
now,
right.
Not all of them necessarily like give out the Ridley vibe. I mean, like some of those, it's not his style, I would say, but he's very stylistic, and a lot of the movies you can tell it's his. But there's a few you can't.
Was he the one who did Hannibal?
Ooh.
With Julianne Moore and Gary Oldman with the weird face. I think that was him.
Okay. I'm not sure.
So I'll give him that.
No, he didn't do Red Dragon, I know.
No, this was the one before.
The original one.
No, Silence of the Lambs was Jonathan Demme.
Oh, the original one, yeah. Oh,
Silence of the Lambs was Jonathan Demme, who he's kind of my one-hit wonder. I don't know that he's got another one that I really like. But yeah, Hannibal, the one 10 years after the fact or whatever. I think that's Ridley Scott. But okay, yeah, surprising pick.
He did Kingdom of Heaven, Black Hawk Down, and stuff like that too. What's American Gangster? He did that one too, which was really good.
You're making a strong case for him. Okay, yeah. I guess I just didn't think that he had resonated that much with you, but yeah, I all right. Okay. Okay. So number 3 spot for me is Sam Mendes.
I love Sam Mendes.
And I think a big part of the reason...
the only things I know about him are really the Bond films. I don't really know what else he's done.
So Sam Mendes did the Bond films, but he did American Beauty. He did Jarhead. He did 1917, which came out last year. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, I love that film.
Revolutionary Road, when Kate Winslet and Leo got, back, did another movie besides Titanic together.
Right.
I think what I love a lot of his movies. They're always just so good. There's always something about them. Sometimes they're labeled Oscar bait. I get that. But a big part of the reason I love Sam Mendes, and I think this is why I like Christopher Nolan so much, is I'm so soundtrack driven. I love movies with great soundtracks and great score. Christopher Nolan always works with Hans Zimmer. And Mendes always works with Thomas Newman. And Thomas Newman, the sound, like the piano during American Beauty. He did the piano. He also did Shawshank Redemption.
I didn't realize that
one. The composer Thomas Newman did Shawshank, not Sam Mendes. But yeah, no, just great soundtracks, great moods. Road to Perdition. I mean, so many great movies. I wish he would do more.
Music makes a movie too. I mean, if you don't have the right music, then your film sucks ass. It's just what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so moving along, you've got Quentin Tarantino, Scorsese, Ridley Scott. Who is your number 2 director of all time?
I'm going to throw a massive curveball at you. Do you want to take a guess before I say it?
No, I don't want to guess.
Okay. Wes Anderson.
What?
Now this is a recent.
No, you're full of shit.
What are you talking about?
There's no way Wes Anderson is your second favorite director of all time.
This is a recent love. I had just recently discovered his movies because I really had never watched any of those movies.
Mark. Okay.
You don't like Wes Anderson?
I do not.
Why not?
He has a specific brand of film, and I don't care for it.
That's weird that you don't. It's very dry.
I enjoyed Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay. You're not
Grand
like
Budapest? That one. I never saw that. To be fair, I never saw that.
Hilarious.
But
that might be his best one.
Okay, I'll watch it and I'll report back. I am so mad right now.
Ray Fiennes is in that.
Yeah.
The main guy.
Yeah.
He's freaking hilarious. You know, everybody thinks of him as Voldemort, and that's really about it. I don't know if anybody else knows all of his other stuff, but he's hilarious in that film. He's a really good straight man. I'm really surprised at how well he was, how funny he was giving some of those lines.
Okay.
So, because I watched Grand Budapest Hotel, and I didn't realize anything about it. I went, this is a fantastic film. It's hilarious. I laughed my ass off the entire thing. And then I was like, well, who directed this? And, you know, he kind of directed the whole thing. And then I'm looking at Royal Tenenbaums. I watched that. I like that film, too. It was pretty funny. He's done several of the other ones. Now, some of them are animated or whatever. He's done, like, Fantastic Mr. Fox, I think.
Yeah.
Now, he uses the same, like, core people for most of his films, which, you know, a lot of the directors do.
All these directors have so far really talked about.
They have their core people. So, I mean, he hasn't done a lot either. He's, you know, he's got a very small selective hand. Yeah. So, but everything that I've seen from him, I enjoy it like a lot, and I watch him multiple times, and I laugh my ass off. It's just the humor thing. I think it's that same dry humor. I know you're disappointed in me.
I'm so mad. I'm so pissed.
Why?
I mean, it's your list. I can't fault you for that, but I cannot believe. Not only can I not believe he made the list, I can't believe he is second behind who I know your number 1 is. Okay. So,
well, I mean, you know, I wanted to make this interesting. I want to throw you some curveballs. I mean, I hate it when you know everything that's going to be there.
It's not, you don't have to do curveballs. Just, I want to know your top 5. But if it's legitimate, it's legitimate.
He is my top 5, though. I mean, he's fantastic. Now, I mean, you know, depending on moods, these guys change around so much. But, I mean, my number 1 is always my number 1. I will say that.
Okay.
But
all right.
Now, I've been into him a whole lot, and I really like him. He's funny. He's got a new one coming out soon.
I'm sure he does. I'm going to poke so many holes in this list when we're done with questions. Okay. So we're on number 2 still. We're not yet to number 1. So far, I've got Jon Favreau at number 5. I've got Christopher Nolan at number 4. Sam Mendes at number 3. My number 2 all-time film director, the Coen brothers.
That's a solid pick.
Yeah. They've done so many quirky, original type stories. And, you know, the ones with big fanfare, like obviously No Country for Old Men, one of my all-time favorite movies.
That's a great movie.
Also, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Both of those are in my top 10 movies of all time.
Right.
And the ones that didn't that kind of flew under the radar, like I recently watched Intolerable Cruelty for the first time, which was from like 15 years ago with Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Super funny. It wasn't one of the bigger ones from them, but Fargo, you know, Blood Simple, back in the early days. I mean, just tons of great stuff. And that's one where you can kind of tell, obviously they like working with the same stable of actors and actresses too. When you're watching, you're like, this is a Coen Brothers. It's kind of dark. It's funny. I love the Coen Brothers. Okay. So
that's a solid pick. I mean, I like a lot of their films. They got a lot of good stuff too. No Country for Old Men is by far one of my top movies. I mean,
it's so good.
The way it's done is just outstanding.
Okay. So we're now at the number one spot. I know what it is. People watching this don't. So we'll see what happens. But number 5, Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Ridley Scott, Wes Anderson at number 2, for whatever reason. Mark, who is your number 1 movie director of all time?
Well, obviously it's Woody Allen. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I know. No. It's Christopher Nolan, of course. That is my guy. Nolan.
We've talked about him. Yeah. Say a little more.
Man, I mean, again, small cannon, but everything he's done, it's that bigger than life. You kind of just get sucked into what you're watching with him. I mean, Interstellar, I don't even know how many times I've watched that movie. It's fascinating for one, just because of the science behind it, but the way he plays with the time and it's such a grand movie. It's these huge scenes like the space station spinning and they're trying to get docked with it. I mean, just the cutout that he does with the no sound and you see the planet in the background. I mean, it's just awesome cinematography to begin with, but I mean, just the way he lays out the movie too. It's fantastic.
I love that Christopher Nolan is your number 1, and your biggest reasoning in this discussion so far is Interstellar, when you're the biggest Batman freak in the entire world. So,
I mean, those movies are the best Batman. Well, yeah, the best Batman movies that have been made. Yes. I am also partial to the 1989 Keaton because that's just my first one ever.
Right.
But the Dark Knight trilogy is a masterpiece of everything. So everything Batman.
Okay. So no surprise there, number 1 for me, but the rest of the list, we're going to talk because we got some honorable mentions to talk about too. My list so far: Jon Favreau, Christopher Nolan, you're number 1, Sam Mendes, Coen Brothers. My number 1 all time, probably not a surprise to you, it is Quentin Tarantino.
Yes, I knew that one going in.
Yeah, I mean, when I talked about how soundtracks are what I go for in a movie, it's just cool. Obviously he has borrowed from a lot. He's done shot for shot remakes of movies that inspired him, but I don't necessarily think that of as thievery, as more of he worshiped this as a child and as an adolescent. This is his way of honoring it.
He's always got that old Hollywood feel. I mean, it's that 70s, 60s, openings he's always got. He's always got that old style of just, he always puts them in the time frames too that are usually back then too. I mean, he's got that love affair with the 60s, 70s kind of Hollywood.
Right. And you're right. And the other thing I love so much about his movies is he creates these universes. I mean, like you talked about earlier, movies within a movie. You really feel like these are legitimate characters with very intricate background stories that he knows. Like, he's written novels of his movies. Like, he knows each and every character's backstory and their whole life before they go to shoot the movie. That level of detail, that level of care, the fact that he loves it so much, I think lends itself to us loving it so much. I can't say that I did enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was his. Yeah. I feel like he should have just done that on his own and screened it for his friends and family and never released it as a actual movie. But why
would you say you didn't like it? Like, I mean, what's the core reasons for not liking that movie specifically?
Nothing happens in that movie.
Okay.
Like, stuff happens, I guess.
Yeah.
But not really. Yeah. It's just like
nostalgia, I think, is what it is.
It's 100% a postcard to somebody who grew up in late 60s, early 70s Los Angeles. Or if you're a guy, like when I told you that I thought your dad would love it. somebody that grew up, or my dad, somebody that grew up watching television in the 60s and loved Westerns and loved military shows and movies, that and people that are enamored with Los Angeles. Again, this is for somebody of a certain age and of a certain generation, a certain culture. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's a very specific movie. I mean, it really has a very specific audience. Not saying that other people can enjoy it, but it just seems like it's tailor-made for somebody who is specific to that kind of style. Like they like old 60s, 70s Hollywood stuff. They like the old Westerns, like you were saying. They like that kind of thing. It's really specific.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay.
Your favorite by him is Django?
My favorite Tarantino?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 1 is Django Unchained. Number 2 is probably Inglourious Bastards. And number 3 is probably Pulp Fiction.
Okay. That's solid.
I mean, the only one I don't think I like is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've rewatched Hateful Eight a couple times. I did not like it when I first saw it in the theater, but after watching it a couple of times, it's kind of grown on me a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think Hollywood's going to grow on me, but we'll see how that goes.
That's true. It maybe when you're older.
Yeah. Okay. So your number 5, your top 5 lists for directors. We've got Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Ridley Scott, Wes Anderson, and Christopher Nolan. Mm-hmm. My top 5, I've got Jon Favreau, Christopher Nolan, Sam Mendes, Coen Brothers, and number 1, Quentin Tarantino. How do you not have Clint Eastwood or Tim Burton in your top 5?
I like Tim Burton. He's probably like 6 or 7. He's not right. I mean, he's got a lot of good movies, but he's also got a lot of stuff that I just don't care about.
Okay.
And he is so specific.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not in a mood to watch one of those kind of films, you're just not into it.
That's how I would feel about Wes Anderson too, but.
Sure. No, I mean, that's true. He's very specific too.
Yeah.
I like Tim Burton. It's just, there's stuff that he's done that I'm like, okay,
Sure.
He's just not up there.
Well, I feel like he's got.
Lot, but again, I only know him by Bond films, really.
What?
The Mendes, didn't he do the Bond films?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really what I've only really seen those, I think. So I like him, but I couldn't put him in my top 5 just saying it's James Bond, and that's pretty much all I've seen. So
why are you talking about Sam Mendes?
I don't know. I just brought it up.
Oh, because I said Clint Eastwood.
Oh, well, my bad. I misheard that. My bad.
That's cool. I thought for sure Eastwood would make your top 5.
Why? I like him as an actor more than a director, I think.
But he directed a lot of those movies, didn't he?
A lot of the ones he's done?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I really don't know.
Okay. I just know that you'd kind of gotten into it, and I thought maybe he would have cracked your top 5.
Yeah. I need to do some more research on him, probably.
Yeah.
I've probably seen more than I just don't realize it's him.
Yeah.
You pay a lot more attention to the directors and, the people that are involved in the film. I just sit there and watch it. And if I like it, I like it. I mean, much more like, I want to know about it, than just the film itself, which not a bad thing, makes us different.
Yeah. Let's talk about some honorable mentions. You mentioned Tim Burton's probably 6 or 7.
Right.
Who else did you think about but didn't quite crack the top 5?
I like a lot of David O. Russell.
That's a good one. Yeah.
American Hustle, Silver Linings Playbook were great movies. Now, again, I don't know how much he's done. And again, I may have seen something I just didn't know it was him. But
right.
I know the one that he did, he's got that core people as well.
Yep.
Where Jennifer Lawrence, I think it was, Judy or something, about the vacuum sales lady.
The Wonder Mop with Joy.
There it is, yeah. Joy, that's it. Yeah.
Judy with the vacuum.
That one. The female who's sweeping shit up. That one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that one. I was like, this is dumb. This is from a super fan of Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not watching a movie about a mop.
I think I started it and I was like, nah. Yeah. Well, it's not just about the mop. It's about the struggle. But it's not for me.
Okay.
But those other two were fantastic.
David O. Russell's a good choice. Did you have anybody else that you kind of thought about?
nothing that comes to my mind right away.
I guess, to be fair, one of my honorable mentions is Steven Spielberg. I mean,
sure. Yeah. I mean, the guy who's done everything.
Like, there's a reason he's Steven Spielberg.
That's true.
You look at all the stuff from the 80s and into the 90s, and I mean, he's still relevant today. I mean, the Indiana Jones, Minority Report, I mean, Schindler's List. I mean, he really could crack the top 5 just based on longevity and all the great stuff. Jaws. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The other one for me is Ryan Coogler. He didn't make it only because he just hasn't done enough yet, but he's the one who did the Black Panther. He did Creed, Fruitvale Station. I mean, I think he's got a really great eye for a slick movie. Like, I remember watching Black Panther thinking, oh, this isn't just like a Marvel movie. This is legit.
Yeah, it definitely was a little step above, wasn't it? I mean, we were watching it, and I watched it late. I didn't see it in the theaters, and I didn't go to it right away. And I was a little marveled out, because they had back to back.
Yeah.
Take a second. But so I watched Black Panther, probably a year later at home. And I was kind of pissed that I didn't watch it earlier because it was such a great film. I was like, man, this is not, you're right. It's not the typical Marvel film that they do. It's definitely something a little above.
Yeah.
And with that, even James Cameron, kind of an honorable mention there too. With the Guardians, he does a really good job. Did he do Guardians?
James Cameron?
Yeah, did he not?
No, that's James Gunn.
There you go. Messing that one up.
James Cameron did Titanic, Terminator, Avatar.
Yeah, no thanks.
Which, if those blockbusters are your cup of tea, then yeah, he would clearly make the list, but I've never been a James Cameron fan.
I hated Avatar.
It gave me a headache.
Dude, I just did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
I thought it was stupid. I'm like, okay.
I remember thinking it was pretty overrated.
Yeah. And Titanic, if I say I don't like it, I'm going to get strangled, but,
Yeah. No, I enjoy Titanic. I think that's a good movie, but Terminator.
Sure, you're on your 150th time. It's not so much.
Right. Well, so. I put Terminator up there with other things that we just culturally we missed,
True.
Terminator came out in 84. So without being a teenager then, there's a reason I love the 90s stuff more than the 80s stuff.
Right.
A couple of one-hit wonders. For me, I've got George Nalfey did Adjustment Bureau.
Sure. One of your top 5.
Yeah, third favorite movie of all time, but that's kind of all he's done that I know of that I've seen. Frank Darabont did Shawshank Redemption. And he's done like some other Stephen King stuff that's not.
Where does Shawshank rank in your top 5 now?
Number 2.
Seriously? Okay, still up there.
Yeah.
Because I know it's been one of your top for a long, long time. I just wasn't sure, with new movies and
sure,
how those things go. I was number 2 still.
Yeah, number 2. And actually, my number 1 still is True Romance. So I want to give a shout out to Tony Scott. Did a lot of great movies. For me, I'm not as huge of a fan of those as I am. He worked with Denzel quite a bit. I think they did Deja Vu, Inside Man.
Those are great movies.
Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So he did a lot. And I want to give a shout out to Paul Thomas Anderson, who I just couldn't quite put him in the top 5. He's probably on the cusp. There Will Be Blood is such a phenomenal movie.
Is it him or is that Daniel Day-Lewis being Daniel Day-Lewis?
That's a good question because I watched Phantom Thread and I did not care for that one.
Ooh. Okay. That's an odd.
Yeah, that's the thing with Paul Thomas Anderson. Like Magnolia, I liked. Punch Drunk Love, I think, is good. I think Heart 8 is the first one he did with Gwyneth Paltrow and John C. Reilly. That's a pretty good one. But again, I can't elevate him just for There Will Be Blood, but definitely want to give him a shout out. He's definitely an honorable mention. So, and Tim Burton, for me too. The Batman, Big Fish is such a great movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But too many Corpse Bride, Dark Shadow type stuff. I'm like,
nah, before Christmas stuff.
Yeah, that's what your all-time favorite movie?
Well, one of them, yeah. Growing up, that was like, I think I wore that VHS out.
Although I don't think Tim Burton directed it though.
I don't know. I know
I think he produced it.
Yeah,
but I don't think he directed. I don't. Who knows?
I mean, Sweeney Todd was one of his, and that's a fantastic movie too.
I didn't go for that one as much.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
It's a good one. I like it.
You've always been more into appreciating theatrical stuff as opposed to, like, I remember we went and saw, your mom took us to see Phantom of the Opera in theater, and I remember thinking, why are we here?
That's true. I do like that one's still good too.
All right, dude. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to do an episode. We'll probably do another top 5 in the future. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.